From Norwich University. Please join me in welcoming this amazing woman, Elizabeth Kuiper.
I promised her if she tripped, I would trip too. Just make it in unison. So she didn't trip, so I didn't trip. So that's a good start. Welcome everybody. I am so excited to be here with you today. My name is Elizabeth Kuiper, and I'm going to try to get all the text down first. Point. Okay. I realize that it's a 3 o'clock session, so it's me and you. What's between me and you is happy hour. So I know that right after this, and it looks like some people bypass that little happy hour rule. So I expect more participation out of you guys, okay? I need a little more from all of you. But I want to welcome you here today, and this is called Fearless Pursuit of Self, because I think that the most fearless thing we can do is to get to know ourselves intimately, deeply, and to use that as the foundation for our professional development, because personal development needs to come first. That's my belief. We'll see if you agree with me after this. But I'm going to try to do what they told me to do. Yeah, kind of point at her. Okay. So you learned a little bit about me, but I'll just kind of give you a quick recap. I am a mom of 4. That's my cute little family. I have 3 boys and I have a little girl. And all the other stuff you already heard about, but being a small business owner for 14 years has been a way that I've been able to develop myself as a professional, as all of you in this room are, and as you've heard today. But when I really learned about personal development, that's when things started to change. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and I consider myself a personal development expert. But before we get started here, what I'd like to do, it is 3 o'clock, and it's been a long day, and we've made it. So I'd like you to turn to the person to your right and say, I made it.
I made it.
Oh my God, I love
Now I'd like you to turn to the person to your left and say, you made it.
You did it. You made it.
Okay, so we made it. So congratulations. When I saw that I had the 3 o'clock slot, I'm thinking, okay, we really need to be interactive because everyone's had a long day of inspiration, a long day of motivation, and you're probably on overload, hence the skipping the line for the happy hour. So I totally get it. I'd be right there with you. But as a wellness coach and lifestyle coach, I work primarily with women who feel that their ideal lifestyle goals are just beyond their reach. They just can't quite get there. So their wellness goals, I just can't get there. Why can't I just do that, right? So those are the women that I help get to live their lives and their dream life purposely. So that's the goal, is reaching women, helping women, teaching them sustainable tools to live their life purposely. So that is, you see on the screen, no, you don't see, oh yeah, you do see the screen, okay. So those are my hats, some of my hats, and everyone in this room wears hats. So I would like you to take your hats off and just put them down. Can you guys just work with me? Yeah, take your hats off and put them down. Okay, great. Because you don't have to be anything in this room, okay? You don't have to be the mom, the leader, the coworker. You don't have to be anything in this room. You can just be you. And I'm just gonna wear my little presenter hat, and that's it. So it's a pretty light load. So I'm used to having many more on top, and we're gonna keep it light. So does everybody feel a little bit better that they've lessened their load? Yes? Okay. So let's take one deep breath in, mostly because I need it. Ready? All right. And you can make that loud if you need to, because that feels good. And before I do anything, I like to set an intention. So today, I would just like to set an intention that whatever I say to all of you in the audience, that it reaches you the way you need to be reached today. So my intention is that you walk out of here with something that helps you move you forward in your life. So the intention is that this moment is for the highest good of everyone in the room. Can we all agree that's a good intention? Okay, good. Perfect. So, okay. So this is what we're going to cover here today. And I'll just quickly go through this. So we're going to define fearlessness because fearlessness has a lot of definitions. So I'll define it in the context of this presentation. And we're going to talk about what we want versus what stops us. That's a big one. And then we're going to do a fun little wellness wheel reflection and talk about where does change begin. And I'll share some of my secrets to success. And if there's time at the end, I'd be happy and I'd love to hear some questions that you might have. So, by the way, thank you for posting questions in the app. So that was really nice. So let's do that. Let's start with fearlessness defined. So it's been said that fearlessness is not the absence of fear, it's the intimacy with fear. So fearlessness is not about pushing away the fear, it's about getting up close and personal with fear and being able to sit with fear. And that's not comfortable, but that's how we get through it. So we're not trying to deny it, we're trying to work with it. So I want to define fearlessness in the context of the presentation. So being fearless in this context means having the courage to look inward. Okay, so when we look inward, we have to accept all the things that we don't like, and we have to celebrate all the things that we do like, and we have to move forward despite all of that, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? So stepping forward and taking account all of those things is what true fearlessness is. It's making that decision to move forward at all costs, to never abandon ourselves. So it's looking at ourselves and deciding that we're worth it and we're going to move forward. So that's what fearlessness is in this context. So, what did fearlessness look like for me? So, I'll start with the really general term of fearlessness. It basically means that you just do something without thinking, right? You're just brave. So that my moment of bravery was when I decided to study abroad. And I did 2 years abroad. I did a year in France and I did a year in Mexico. And this was a long time ago. But when I did that, when I look back at that today, I made those decisions so irrationally. I mean, my school was going and I said, let's go. And when I look back, I was just living life because I had no responsibilities. I wasn't wearing all the hats that you saw before or that you all are wearing. Or maybe some of you are just starting out, so go abroad. That's my plug for that. But I was basically just buying amazing scarves and eating baguettes whenever I wanted. That's what I was doing, honestly. But it turns out that I couldn't translate that into life. So I'm no longer able to just walk down the street with a baguette under my arm, flipping my scarf, wearing my fabulous tights. And I'm not able to take a nice long beach stay in Cancun and work on my tan. I can't do any of those things anymore. But that was my introduction to fearlessness. And again, it's in the traditional sense of the word, so we'll see how that changed over time. But that next little spiral there, the reason that the trajectory of my life changed is because I met my husband in that study abroad experience. So I then got married, hat. I then had a son, hat. I had another son, hat. Had another son, hat. But basically what happened in all of that, right, because we're just going through the motions in life. We're on autopilot. We just think that we can handle more and do more with the same hours of the day and be okay with that. We'll figure it out. There's a tool, I'll Google it, so-and-so does it. But really we don't know how well anybody else is doing something because we're pretty good at hiding that. We're pretty good at masking those types of things. And it's not really until we get in community and we're vulnerable we can share those types of things. But my real turning point was when I had my third son. He was 5 months old, and I realized, wow, I'm not exercising, I'm not eating well, I'm not able to do any of these things, and I have 3 young children, all under the age of 5, and I was also running a business. So I had taken over a business, I was doing all these things with no time. So that was my turning point. I had a moment where a coach of mine said, why not you? Why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? And I had this moment where it was like, yeah, why not me? I had that kind of charge moment. And it really changed my life because that's when my fearless pursuit of self began. That's when I realized I have the same hours in the day as everyone in this room. I can't just try to fit the puzzle piece together in different ways in order to gain more hours, right? We all have the same amount of time. I can't give the kids back. I mean, they're already here. And funny story, nobody wants to watch 4 kids. Nobody. So even the grandparents, they couple hours and they, when are you coming home? We just went for brunch. It's just brunch. But that's when my fearless pursuit of self began because I felt desperate. I had no other choice. I couldn't keep doing what I was doing. I was running myself ragged at work, trying to be the best I could be in the job, trying to be the leader, trying to be the inspiration, trying to be the miracle mom or marvelous mom, whatever you want to call it. Meanwhile, I was feeling depleted and lost and just feeling like nothing was going to get any better. So that's when my true pursuit of self began. And here we go. So once I decided to focus on myself, that's when things started to change. And I know that maybe it sounds a little overdone, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, yeah, so what do you do now? You meditate in the morning? Wait, do you wake up early? Wait, do you have all these tricks to make sure that you get all these tasks done? No, I don't. I'm not organized. As you can tell, I'm fumbling through my cards here because I labeled them and I still messed them up because I started putting them in like a web up here. So just give me a second.
Sounds like us.
Yeah. Sometimes, people perceive, they think, oh, you do all these things. You must be super organized. You must be this, that. No, I'm none of those things. So again, give me a second. We did that. Okay. Okay, I think I got it, but I'm not sure. I may have to do that again. Okay. All right. So I feel like we should be starting a Family Feud episode up here because I did poll you, and I polled 100 people, and this is what we got. Who wants to come up? We'll do a buzzer. But if you want to know, looking around here at your colleagues, your top 4 things that you want in this room, can you guess what they are? Can anybody guess what the top 4? Let's start with 1. What's one thing that everybody wants?
A vacation.
A vacation. I like it. I did get one Jesus, and I totally relate to that person. So wherever you are, you're awesome. So happiness is on here. Yes, that's your top 4. Time was on there. Didn't make the top 4 though. So, but thank you for your effort, and you did fulfill your promise with the participation over there in the front row. Thank you. Anybody else?
Security.
Health? No. Health did not come up really at all, but really, really good. Yeah.
Love.
Love did come up, and some people wrote sweet things, and I just want to hold your hand, and if you want to see me after, I would love to connect with you, because yeah, some people are looking for love and belonging and all those things. So you belong, you're loved. I just want to say that. Anything else? Anybody else?
Financial security.
Financial security did come up, not in top 4. Tell me when you're tired of playing the game, and I'll keep rolling. Family or peace? Peace is on top 4. 5 points. Extra prize at the end. So yeah, I'll stop playing the game because but happiness and peace were way up there, and the other 2, contentment and fulfillment, which I had to Google because there's a difference. And let me tell you the difference, because if you didn't learn anything here, you'll know the difference between contentment and fulfillment after today. So contentment means satisfied with the way things are. Okay? Contentment, feeling contentment in my life. Fulfillment means feeling that one's abilities and talents are being fully utilized. Okay? A little nuance there. Okay? So you learned something today. So those are your top 4 in this room. That's how we feel. That's what we're seeking in our life. Okay? And I would agree with you, and all of them. All the other ones that mentioned aren't top 4, but they were up there. There was a lot of independence, time, I'm trying to think of other ones. Belonging was up there. Impact was on there. That was cool too. So yeah, there was a lot. So I really loved getting your responses. So thank you for submitting. We had almost everyone respond. So thank you. So I just want to touch on what gets in the way of that, because you want all those things. but what gets in the way of us getting them? So the first is beliefs. And beliefs, this is what we believe about ourselves on a subconscious level. So it's not something surface, it's the inner voice, it's that critic. It's that started from, you don't even remember when. Those moments in childhood. These are the inner voice. This is how our brains are wired to think, okay? So this is one of the stopping blocks to getting what we want, is our beliefs. So if you tell yourself something often enough, you will believe it. And that's the good and the bad news, right? Because if we tell ourselves something awful over and over again, unfortunately, we're going to believe it. And we're going to internalize it, and it's going to become one of our core beliefs. But if we tell ourselves something good over and over again, even if we don't believe it in the beginning, but the more we say it, it also becomes one of our core values. And then we can release some of those negative ones. So that's the first one, that's beliefs. The second one is responsibilities. What gets in the way is responsibilities. So these are our current commitments. This is life, this is family, this is relationships. What are we committed to right now? So these are the things that you really can't change. Like I said, kids, you can't, like, you have them, all these things, your life, your work, you have these things and they have to be dealt with. But they can become, or seemingly become, roadblocks to our life and our progress. The other is life circumstances. So these are the things that shift in your life. These are the things that change. Maybe you have a loss in your life. Maybe you get married. Maybe you have a child. So these are the ever-shifting things. These are the things that we feel like, oh, we can control everything, but then something comes up. Oops, I didn't see that, even though I had it all planned out, then that happened, right? So these are the life circumstances. And then the last one is the fear of the unknown. So this is the idea that what I don't know, it's safer to stay with what I do know, because what I don't know is scarier. So just remember that our brains are wired to measure and detect danger. So of course it's scary to step out there and ask your boss for a raise. Of course it's scary to switch jobs because you're so comfortable. You've been there, you know everybody, and you kind of, you talk every morning and, oh my gosh, I'll miss so-and-so. So this is the fear of the unknown. We don't know if what we desire is better than what we currently have. So it's kind of like the grass is always greener syndrome. We're afraid. We're afraid that if we take that risk, that we're not going to be happy, right? But what I propose is happiness, I'm going to say the cliche, comes from within. Happiness is an inside job, okay? And it's hard work. I do get up early now. I was not a morning person. I can sleep through anything. And I was not a morning person. I had to be dragged out of bed. It was one of those situations. And now I see my 12-year-old son is me, and I'm living that as his mother. I'm not allowed to talk in the morning. I'm not allowed to make eye contact. I'm not allowed to be too chipper or too down. I have to just be right there, which I don't know what that means. So I basically just say good morning and I just walk away. So, but I didn't know any of those things. So as a mom, I'm learning all of these new things. But I lost my placement. I told you I'm not organized. So then, give me a second. I'm gonna go here again. All right. So those are all the things that get in the way. But remembering that our brains are wired for fear, that should just help you know that it's just a biological factor, that it's not actually you. The fear is not you. It's something outside of you, okay? So where does change start? Oh, I did flip it. Okay, good. Okay, so where does change start? Change starts with desire, okay? So what do you desire? When's the last time you were asked, what do you desire? Ever? Has anyone really asked, what do you want? What do you desire? I had some lovely person ask me today, do you need anything? And I was like, you're the lovely person. You're the lovely person. She said, do you need anything? And I was like, what? I was like anything? She's like, yes, I'm just being kind. And I'm constantly hearing from my family, Mom, I need this, I need that, or there's all that happening all the time. But what do you desire? I just want to take 1 second. I just want you to just take a second. And when I ask you the question, What do you want? I want you to pay attention to what pops into your head. I'm going to say it again. What do you want? Okay. Did anybody have a primary thought, like something popped into your head? And maybe it's a drink, maybe it's food, maybe it's but did anybody have something that's non-related to those things, like $1 million? I don't know. Did anybody have anything like that? Awesome. Is anybody willing to share something that popped into their head?
I want to buy a house in Spain.
Buy a house in Spain. I love you. That is amazing. Okay. So I really recommend asking yourself this question on a regular basis, okay? It's so simple. What do you want? But it's not easy. And I think we're afraid to ask ourselves this question because we're afraid what's going to come up, because then, oh my gosh, am I going to get it? Like, oh my gosh. So don't be afraid to ask the question, what do you want? Because that's when the real true you will start to come out. But I will caution you, when you ask yourself the question, what do I want? Something may pop into your head. It might be the tiniest whisper voice. Was yours a whisper voice? Was it a house in Spain? Was it? Oh yeah, okay, you got it. All right. So hers was a booming house in Spain. So that means it's on its way to you because it's the booming voice. But sometimes what happens is when we ask ourselves, what do we want? A little tiny either whisper will come up and it'll be like, a new job or house in Spain. That's all I can think of. I'm lost in Spain. But it's a whisper voice, but then that loud booming voice comes and that loud booming voice says, you can't have that. Who do you think you are? What? That's ridiculous. You have too many responsibilities. You have a job, you have a life, you have a family, like no. So that's your inner critic, right? That's the voice that we say no. And I recommend naming that voice because it makes it funnier to name that alter ego that you have in your head. So I'm not going to say any names because it's definitely someone's name in this room and I don't want to do that today. But if you name that voice, you're kind of personifying it and making it silly. But pay attention to the whispers, okay? Because that whisper that came up as a true desire, that's really what you want. And once you allow yourself to even bring that desire into your realm of possibilities, guess what? You don't have to figure out how it's going to happen. And for you planners out there, this is killing you that I'm saying this right now, but I'm telling you the truth. You don't have to figure it out. Just allow it to come out. Write on it. Whatever you want, whatever comes out. You can just surprise yourself. I want to open a business, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Just let it run and see what happens. And I promise you that things will start opening up for you. You'll meet someone here that does that. Or you'll go to, you'll be at a coffee shop and you'll be watching someone do that very job that you're planning for, or you'll connect with someone. The universe will start aligning things for you just by allowing yourself to have that belief spoken. And again, you don't have to tell anybody about this. When I say spoken, it just means bringing it to life in yourself. So you don't have to share it with everybody. You don't have to say, oh my gosh, guess what silly idea came up. No, this is your truth. So just keep that somewhere. But then the second step to that, what really makes it true for you, is ask yourself why. Why is that important to me? So again, you're all I got. So my house in Spain, and that's enough. My house in Spain, why is that important to me? And keep drilling down on why that's important. That is the most crucial part to giving your dream legs, because once you say to yourself, why is that important to me? A lot will come up there. A lot will come up there. So for me, my health is extremely important to me now because that wasn't something that my mom was able to get a handle on until it was too late. So for me, that's an anchor. So that's a why for me. Everybody has their own whys and everyone has their own anchors. So when you drill down to ask yourself, why is this important to me? You'll be surprised with what comes up there, but that will also allow you to see it in a different way, and you will hold steady to that dream, even if you feel like it's not a possibility in the moment. And if you think of all the successful people in the world, they had crazy dreams. Almost everything that's been introduced to us, when it was spoken for the first time, it was like, what? Like, why would you even think that? So don't think that any dream you have is not possible. Every dream you have is possible. So it's just about getting clear. Why is that important to me? Why is that important to me? And you keep asking yourself that until you annoy yourself, because that's the root of it. You can't just stop at why is this important to me? Oh, because it sounds fun. No. Why is it important to me to have fun? Well, because I want to enjoy life. Why is it important to you that you enjoy life? So you're going to keep doing that until you land on something that's meaningful for you. And when you tie that meaning to your dream, that's what starts to put it in motion. So this is a little fun tool that I like to use. This is a personal gauge of wellness for me. So these are all the parts of your life, okay? So this is every piece of you. This makes up you as a whole being, okay? In my opinion. You can also add more slices to the pie if you think of other things. But career, physical activity, nutrition, finances, relationships, self-expression, and connectedness. So these are all the areas of our life that make up us as individuals. Now, you have little cards in front of you. I'm just saying this as a side note. There is a little QR code on there. If you scan that QR code, not now, because if you all scan now, my website will blow up, and I don't want that to happen, because I cannot tech support you through that. So, but anyway, when you go to the website, it will pop up. It says bonus giveaway, and if you just put your email address in there and hit submit, I will email this to you. Okay? But the fun part is, if you fill it out and send it back to me, you get a free discovery session. So I will work with you one-on-one to kind of chisel away at that dream. So all you have to do is put the dots in, or whatever you want to use, your pretty pen, or put star stickers, whatever you want to do, and then you're going to just take a picture and email it back. But this is a personal wellness gauge. So going back to topic. I just want to touch on two, because this is just an example. I just put them in different spots. But as you can see, the middle would be signifying not satisfied in that area, okay? And as you get to the outer edge of the circle, that means extremely satisfied, okay? So what you would do is look to each area and just score yourself. Who doesn't like a good little quiz, right? So this just keeps you in tuned, and this isn't meant to be a one and done. This is meant to be an ongoing tool for you, because we cannot possibly ever be balanced in all those areas. That's just not an ideal that's possible. So 1-2 areas you want to focus on at a time, because it's impossible, as I mentioned, to do all of them. But today you might fill it out and feel one way. 6 months from now, you would feel a totally different way, because we're evolving and changing every day. So just to explain, and the instructions are on it, and I will email them to whoever is interested. But self-expression is on there, because what that basically is asking is, do I have enough outlets in my life to express myself? So this is the personal passion area. Do I have enough outlets for my own personal passions? And some of you might be like, I don't even have a personal passion. Like, what are you talking about? But then you would be scoring it low, and that would be an area to work on. But this is things such as, do I journal? Do I knit? Do I paint? Do I organize? Do I dance? These are things that you love. And they said it this morning, I think it was Robin that said that 8-year-old to 10-year-old version of yourself. Think of that. What did that little girl like to do? So these may be things that become personal passions, or they already are. So that's what the self-expression part means, because we need outlets, even if we don't think we do. Everyone is creative. It's just, what is your outlet? Do you like to dance like a fool while you're making dinner? Do you like to knit? Like I said, journal. And these are your passion projects. And then the other one I wanted to point out is the connectedness. So this is the connection with a greater version of you. So this could be a connection to God, the universe, nature. This is just something that you recognize that we are just little blips in this universe, that there's a greater purpose here, that we are all connected. It's kind of that awe. Where do you experience awe in your life? Like the sunset, or what are those moments when you're like, wow, do you experience enough awe-striking moments in your life? So that's what the connectedness is. How often am I feeling a sense that there are so many miracles, large and small, and that there's so much going on behind the scenes? So that's the part of connectedness. So basically, you're going to evaluate yourself in each of these areas, and that's going to be your point of work. And if you have an area where you're not very developed, like self-expression, you're going to do something about You're gonna take a step forward. And I hear this all the time in working with clients. We usually do the big things like physical health, nutrition, right? We're like, oh, if I could just exercise every day, or oh, if I could just do this. And we beat ourselves up about those things, and oh, I just can't get in a rhythm. The first thing I want to say is we cannot, as women, shame ourselves into wellness, okay? We cannot shame ourselves into positive change. We have to lovingly look at ourselves, right? We wouldn't shame a young child and think they're going to change their behavior. We're going to lovingly walk them with them as their models to show them what to do. So we have to be that for ourselves. We have to look at ourselves and all parts of ourselves with a loving lens. And I know that's hard because we have inner critic, we have all these other things that happen to us. But we can reprogram those things in our brain. So when I work with clients, that's what we do. It's habit change, but it's on a behavior belief level. What do I believe about myself? And that's where the true change exists. It's getting into kind of those beliefs and how they affect our lives. But what I wanted to mention here is those big umbrella items like physical activity, nutrition, finances, those are kind of easy to define, right? Do I drink enough water? Do I get exercise? Do I have money in the bank? Do I have savings? Those are easy to define. And sometimes we beat ourselves up about those. But what I propose to you is when you fill out this wheel, or if you're just taking an inventory right now in your mind, sometimes if we do something else, such as self-expression, and we just start small. Let me Google knitting because Melissa Gilbert likes knitting, so we'll use it. What if I Google knitting and I figure out how to knit, and that's just gonna give me the passion to move forward? What I have found is when you are channeling other areas of your life, so if you pick something that's less scary to you, because as you know, if you haven't had any type of physical activity in your life for the last year, it is daunting to think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna start doing this every day. So I challenge you to pick something else. Pick something that is not overwhelming, like knitting. I mean, it's overwhelming to me, but maybe not to some people in the room. But pick something that feels like the next best step, something kind of easy, but something that you're still interested in. Once you start doing that, you'll be surprised at how that flows into other areas of your life. All of a sudden you knitted something, you feel so proud, you just go for a walk around the block. You're just like, oh yeah. So the physical activity stuff that you were beating yourself up about last month now becomes something that you just want to do because you're feeling so fulfilled in your self-expression bucket. So we're kind of looking at these different slices. So that's my challenge to you. Don't always go to the area that is glaring at you. You can look at another area and start improving upon that area, and you'll see the benefits flow into other areas of your life. So that's my belief, and that's why I started by saying personal development is the foundation for professional development. It's not the other way around, right? We, as professional women, we sign up for all of these things. We get all these degrees, we get all these certifications because we feel like we're not enough. And it's because we spend all the time outwardly seeking and trying to find things that we can add to our name that's going to make us feel good, but we push away the inner stuff, the personal development stuff, right? And at the end of the day, Melissa Gilbert said it, she didn't even start taking care of herself until she had to go in the hospital, and that's common. That's common that our body starts to shut down because we haven't been caring for it. But I promise you, if you start taking those small steps, and it could be the smallest steps, that will start to change. And that personal development, the feeling that you have inside for taking care of yourself in many different ways. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's journey in this room, but it could be just taking those nightly walks. It could be meditating, it could be journaling. I do all of the things now that I would have rolled my eyes at 10 years ago. I do every single one of those things. I get up at 5 in the morning and I love it. Like, I love it because no one is awake. It's silent in my house. Nobody says anything. And if somebody wakes up early, I'm like, what are you doing up? I'm like, it's my time. Why are you here? But no, we actually cuddle on the couch. I'm realizing I'm portraying myself as not loving to be a mom. I love to be a mom. I love being a mom. My kids are so amazing. And my daughter, she'll be the one that'll often wake up and she just says, can I cuddle you? And we just get on the couch, blanket over, and I continue. And because she's used to seeing me do these things, She's not needy in those moments. So if you're a young mom, don't be afraid of that, because I have a lot of moms say, how do you do that? It's like, it's a modeling thing. When they see you doing these things, they just learn that that's just what you do. So she just will cuddle me on the couch, and I'll just continue meditating or whatever I'm doing, journaling. She's like, you working, Mom? I'm like, working on me, that's what I'm doing. But it's just one of those things that we just get used to. So this is a wonderful gauge for where you are today, but it's not the be-all, end-all. It's meant to be an ongoing thing that you can utilize for yourself. So what's the time like? You said you were going to do this thing.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Oh my gosh, okay, all right. Okay, so these are just some tips for you. This is tips for pursuing yourself fearlessly, okay? So the first one is, we covered it, ask questions. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what's going to come out on that paper. That is so exciting, because you're moving yourself towards those dreams. And you know what? Sometimes what you write on the paper, maybe that dream won't exactly come true, but the next dream will. So that day one, you don't have to be like, this is it. No, keep asking yourself that question, because that dream will mold and bend, and it will turn into something just amazing. So ask questions. Second one is practice silence. Don't be afraid of silence. I know we are, and we think like, I can't meditate, my mind's always going. You can meditate while washing dishes. It's just about doing an act over and over again that's soothing for you. So you can sit there and you can do the or you can go for a walk and allow that just to be your time to meditate. So I think we need to open up what it means to do these wellness things and not feel like we have to fit into a box in the way that we do them. But silence can be with your best friend. Silence can be your best friend, because remember, we're human beings, not human doings, right? So we don't have to just do all the time. Accept the truth. What does that mean? Accept that you are your biggest challenge. That's the bad news. We are all our biggest challenge. It's only us against us, right? We are our biggest challenge, but the good news is we are also our biggest solution. So, believe it or not, we cause our own stuff. We think we don't, because it's all looking around here, but once we stop and we kind of really consider, well, maybe I can have some boundaries in this situation. Maybe I can, if we start taking action on certain things, we find that we can solve a lot of our problems. We do tend to create some of them. So it's not about looking outward, it's about thoughtfully and lovingly looking inward. Because when you fearlessly pursue yourself, you have so much more to offer the world. So lastly, little hinges swing big doors. I love this expression because it's about taking baby steps. It's just about one foot in front of the other, right? So you are all evolving masterpieces, okay? So it's not about, oh, I want to be this far along, or so-and-so's this far along. No. It's about you, and you're an evolving masterpiece. So it's the small, consistent changes that lead to big results, okay? I have a concept called do the bare minimum, okay? Does that sound good to anybody in this room? Have you ever gotten a good review when it says she does the bare minimum? Not really celebrated in the world of professional leaders, right? But I say do the bare minimum for you. You don't have to go to the gym for an hour. You can do a 5-minute stretch. That's the bare minimum. You don't have to eat perfectly. Just pick one thing that's healthy, right? It's those baby steps going forward. So take a bare minimum approach. If it feels so overwhelming for you, take a bare minimum approach to yourself and your wellness. And all of those bare minimums, I've been doing bare minimums for like 15 years now. And all those little bare minimums added up make a huge difference. Because sometimes, I kid you not, and you'll see on my website, there's a picture of me on my website when I wasn't taking care of myself, okay? And the times that when I started taking care of myself, I said, what is the shortest workout I can do? I chose the shortest, and I had an online program. It was 22 minutes. I was doing that one. I wasn't doing the 40 minute. I wasn't doing the 24 minute. I was doing the 22 minutes, okay? And now even, I picked one that's 20 minutes because they made a 20-minute one, so I'm doing that one, okay? But then sometimes I do a 45-minute because I feel awesome because I just knit a blanket or something, and I'm like, woo! And I'll just do that. But do the bare minimum, because those bare minimums make a huge difference. So Keep focused on your why. So why is this important to me? Why? And adapt as necessary. And revisit the wellness wheel as your personal gauge of wellness. Because fearlessly pursuing yourself, lovingly, unceasingly, is how we are fearless together, right? Because the togetherness has to come from each part of us being strong, right? We can all link together and we're stronger, but how much stronger are we as women if we are each fully developing ourselves and then linking together? Okay? So fearlessly pursue yourself at all costs. Thank you, everybody. That's it. If anybody has any questions, happy hour's over. I know
Yeah, this is the
Yes, like, so